Mark and I had what I thought was a picture-perfect marriage. 12 years, 2 beautiful kids, a home we built together. He was my rock, my best friend, the person I trusted with every fiber of my being. Our life was comfortable, predictable, and filled with the quiet joys of a long-term partnership. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our shared dreams for the future. I never once questioned his love or his loyalty. Why would I? He was the most dependable man I knew. That all changed on a completely ordinary Tuesday evening. Mark was upstairs giving the kids their bath, and I was tidying up the living room. His phone, which was usually glued to his hip, was lying on the coffee table. It buzzed. I glanced down, expecting it to be a work email or a notification from his fantasy football league. But the name on the screen wasn't one I recognized. It was a woman's name, Chloe, and the message preview was just a few words, but they were enough to make my blood run cold. Can't stop thinking about last night. My heart stopped. Last night? Mark was supposedly at a late-night work dinner. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling. It was locked, of course. But in that moment, a switch flipped inside me. The foundation of trust I had built my entire adult life on crumbled into dust. Who was Chloe? And what happened last night? I placed the phone back on the table just as Mark came downstairs, humming a tune from one of the kids' cartoons. He smiled at me, that easy, familiar smile that used to make me feel so safe. "All done," he said. "They're finally winding down." He looked at me, and his smile faltered slightly. "You okay, honey?" "You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a weak smile. "Just tired," I mumbled. "Long day." But inside I was screaming. The man standing in front of me, the father of my children, was a complete stranger. For the next week, I lived in a state of suspended agony. I tried to act normal, to go through the motions of our daily life, but every interaction was tainted. Every "I love you" felt like a lie. Every touch felt like a betrayal. I became a detective in my own home. I watched him constantly, searching for clues, for any slip-up that would confirm my fears. He was more protective of his phone than ever, taking it with him even to the bathroom. He started working late more often, citing new projects and tight deadlines. The excuses were plausible, but now they sounded hollow. I knew I couldn't live like this. The not knowing was eating me alive. I needed proof. I remembered an old tablet we kept in a drawer, one we hadn't used in years but was still linked to his account. One night, after he fell asleep, I crept downstairs, my heart pounding in my chest. I powered on the device, praying it would still work. It took a few minutes to update, each second feeling like an hour. And then, it all flooded in. Messages, emails, photos. It wasn't just Chloe. There were others. A whole secret life lay bare on a forgotten tablet screen. Texts filled with plans for secret meetups, explicit photos exchanged, emails detailing trips he'd taken while I thought he was on business conferences. There were hotel receipts, dinner reservations, an entire shadow existence running parallel to our family life. He had a different email address, a separate social media profile under a different name. It was meticulous, calculated, and it had been going on for years. Reading through the messages, I felt a strange sense of detachment, as if I were reading a story about someone else's life. The man in these messages was not my Mark. My Mark was kind, devoted, a family man. This man was deceitful, selfish, and reckless. He talked about me to these other women, calling me the ball and chain, complaining about our boring life. Each word was a dagger to my heart. The worst part was a thread with a woman named Sarah. It wasn't just a fling. It was a full-blown relationship. They had been seeing each other for over 3 years. He had told her he was in a loveless marriage, that he was staying for the kids but was planning to leave me. He had spent holidays with her family, telling me he was on solo hiking trips to clear his head. He had bought her expensive gifts, things we couldn't afford, using a secret credit card I never knew existed. He had built a whole other life, with a whole other woman who thought he was going to be her future. I sat there on the cold kitchen floor until the sun came up, the tablet screen illuminating the tears streaming down my face. The shock had worn off, replaced by a deep gut-wrenching pain, followed by a wave of cold, hard rage. How could he? How could he look me in the eye every day, kiss our children goodnight, and live such a monstrous lie? The next morning, I didn't say a word. I got the kids ready for school, made breakfast, and packed their lunches, moving like a robot. Mark was oblivious, chatting about his plans for the day. When he leaned in to kiss me goodbye, I turned my head and he kissed my cheek instead. He looked confused for a second, but then shrugged it off and left for work. I knew what I had to do. I spent the day on the phone with a lawyer. I gathered evidence, printing out the emails, the receipts, the incriminating photos. Each piece of paper felt like a confirmation of my new reality. My marriage wasn't just broken. It had been an illusion from the start. That evening, when he came home, I was waiting for him. The kids were at my mother's. The house was quiet. I had laid out all the printouts on the dining room table, a mosaic of his betrayal. He walked in, saw my face, and then his eyes fell on the table. The color drained from his face. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. "I know," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I know everything, Mark." He sank into a chair, his head in his hands. He started with the excuses. It didn't mean anything. He was unhappy. It was a mistake, the classic cheater's handbook. But I wasn't listening. I had already heard his true feelings in his own words, written to other women. "You didn't just cheat on me, Mark," I told him, my voice finally breaking. "You built a fake life and you made me live in it. You made our children live in it. You let me believe we had this beautiful thing, while you were laughing about me behind my back." The confrontation wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet and devastating. He cried. He begged. He promised it would never happen again. But the trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces that could never be put back together. How could I ever believe anything he said again? Asking for a divorce was the hardest and easiest decision I've ever made. It was terrifying to dismantle the life I knew, to face the future as a single mother. But it was also liberating. It was a choice to stop living a lie. It was a choice to respect myself, even if my husband hadn't. The process was messy and painful. There were days I could barely get out of bed, but I had an incredible support system. My friends and family rallied around me, reminding me of my strength. They helped with the kids, listened to me cry, and made sure I ate. Slowly, day by day, I started to heal. It's been 2 years now. The divorce is final. Mark sees the kids on weekends, and our interactions are civil for their sake. I'm still rebuilding my life, but it's my life now, built on truth and self-love. I've learned that sometimes, the worst betrayals can lead to the most profound self-discoveries. I lost my husband, but I found myself. And that's a trade I'd make again. My story is a painful one, but it's also a story of survival and rebirth. It's a reminder that we are stronger than we think, and that we have the power to walk away from a life that is hurting us and build a new one that is honest and true.